everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
When you saw photos of your husband in a hot tub laying on a beach and getting massaged by other women, and you knew that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in some of these trips and these things, did it concern you at all?
I'm here not to offer my opinions. I'm here to answer specific questions to the best of my ability.
When you saw your husband in these photos with a young woman being massaged, what went through your mind?
I am not going to speculate.
You didn't have any feelings about young women massaging your husband?
I am not going to offer opinions or speculation about anything that I have no context for and was not there.
After you learned that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of sex crimes with kids, did any of these photos of your husband with women being massaged on the beach, did it concern you?
I have no context for even answering that question. And I think, obviously the innuendo, all the rest of it.
I'm asking a black and white question. I'm not putting any leading statements into it or adjectives. Did you do anything to determine what was happening in those images or on those trips that once you saw these photos, once you realized Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender of children, did you do anything to determine what was happening on these trips with your husband? I
don't find any of your questions to be relevant to the investigation.
Well, it is relevant if a former president was traveling around with young women.
Well, you'll have a chance to talk to him tomorrow.
You said this morning you did not solicit funds from Jeffrey Epstein, correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Did anyone solicit funds from Jeffrey Epstein on your behalf?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you ever invite Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to any of your...
Do you have any other questions before we begin?
Yes, I have an opening statement that I would like to deliver before we begin. Mr. Chairman, ranking member, members of the committee, as a former United States Senator, I have respect for legislative oversight, and I expect its exercise, as do the American people, to be principled and fearless in pursuit of truth and accountability. As we all know, however, too often congressional investigations are partisan political theater, which is an abdication of duty and an insult to the American people. This committee justified its subpoena to me based on its assumption that I have information regarding the investigations into the criminal activities of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me be as clear as I can. I do not. As I stated in my...
She says she does not know what Jeffrey Epstein had going on, which I believe her. I don't believe Hillary Clinton had any idea what Jeffrey Epstein had going on on that island. But what I will tell you is the guy code was there. If Bill knows, Hillary don't know. Now, Hillary could be oblivious or she could be in denial. But it's not like she was there for the parties.
My sworn declaration on January 13th, I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that. Like every decent person, I've been horrified by what we have learned about their crimes. It's unfathomable that Mr. Epstein initially got a slap on the wrist in 2008, which allowed him to continue his predatory practices for another decade. Mr. Chairman, your investigation is supposed to be assessing the federal government's handling of the investigations and prosecutions of Epstein and his crimes. You subpoenaed 8 law enforcement officials, all of whom ran the Department of Justice or directed the FBI when Epstein's crimes were investigated and prosecuted. Of those 8, only 1 appeared before the committee. 5 of the 6 former attorneys general were allowed to submit brief statements stating they had no information to provide. You have held 0 public hearings, refused to allow the media to attend them, including today, despite espousing the need for transparency on dozens of occasions. You have made little effort to call the people who show up most prominently in the Epstein files. And when you did, not a single Republican member showed up for Les Wexner's deposition. This institutional failure is designed to protect one political party and one public official, rather than to seek truth and justice for the victims and survivors, as well as inform the public who want to get to the bottom of this matter.
That is a fact. That is a fact that they are protecting one person. And we can all, speculate who that person is. But with that person being the head of state, it's easy for everybody to jump on the bandwagon and follow along with him and him, saying it'll be another hoax, it'll be another this, another witch hunt, all this stuff. But if your name is in the files, who put it there? The same Justice Department that he's heading, and the same Justice Department that'll go behind him. There's a lot of things corrupt in this administration that's going a different way, that hasn't gone this way before, which is okay if it's changed, but it's not okay if you're changing the laws to help you, like separation of powers between the judicial branch, the executive branch, and stuff like that. When those lines get to being crossed, now you know it's something really going on. And it's going to get deeper. We just haven't got there yet.
My heart breaks for the survivors, and I am furious on their behalf. I have spent my life advocating for women and girls. I have worked hard to stop the terrible abuses so many women and girls face here and around the world, including human trafficking, forced labor, domestic violence, and sexual slavery. For too long, these have been largely invisible crimes or not treated as crimes at all. But the survivors are real and they are entitled to justice. In Southeast Asia, I met girls as young as 12 years old who had been forced into prostitution and raped repeatedly. Some were dying of AIDS. In Eastern Europe, I met mothers who told me how they lost their daughters to trafficking and did not know where to turn. In settings around the world, I met survivors trying to rebuild their lives and help rescue others with little support from people in power who too often turned a blind eye and a cold shoulder. If you are new to this issue, let me tell you, Jeffrey Epstein was a heinous individual, but he's far from alone. This is not a one-off tabloid sensation or political scandal. It is a global scourge with an unimaginable human toll. My work combating sex trafficking goes back to my days as First Lady. I worked to pass the first federal legislation against trafficking and was proud that my husband signed the Trafficking Victims Protection Act.
Ooh, y'all didn't know that. But check this out. Somebody in the chat says, if Hillary has to answer for Bill, make Melania answer for Donald. Hey, call it how it is. Another person says, do you have any questions before we begin? Yes, I have an opening statement. She proceeds to read 6 pages worth of facts calling out the current administration's mishandling of the Epstein investigations. Looks like these comments are pretty much on Hillary's side. We could have had an intelligent, educated woman. Listen to how well she speaks. She's 78 years old. I mean, and this is a major news network. Usually when you read major news networks, you have a lot of people bashing Democrats or whatever, or Hillary Clinton or whatever. But this one, I think people are fed up with the BS. And if they gonna hear something, let's hear some truth for once. Let's not be lied to. And the whole time the smoke and mirrors was Bill Clinton and Hillary at the Epstein Island. Bill Clinton and Hillary. Bill and Hillary. Hillary says she never been there. Nobody has her. And where are the flight logs? Like, remember the flight logs? The flight logs used to be a very big thing at one point in time. We haven't heard one thing about the flight logs. So are the flight logs still on the files that weren't released with the $3 million Epstein files that weren't released? I believe so, probably so.
Which increased support for survivors and gave prosecutors better tools for going after traffickers. As Secretary of State, I appointed a former federal prosecutor, Lucy DeBaca, to ramp up our global anti-trafficking efforts. I oversaw nearly 170 anti-trafficking programs in 70 nations and directly pressed foreign leaders to crack down on trafficking networks in their countries. Every year, we published a global report to shine a light on abuses. The findings of those reports triggered sanctions on countries failing to make progress, so they became a powerful diplomatic tool to drive concrete action. I insisted that the United States be included in the report for the first time ever in 2011, because we must hold ourselves not just to the same standard as the rest of the world, but to an even higher one. Sex trafficking and modern slavery should have no place in America. None. Infuriatingly, the Trump administration gutted the Trafficking in Persons Office at the State Department, cutting more than 70% of the career civil and foreign service experts who worked so hard to prevent trafficking crimes. The annual trafficking report required by law was delayed for months. The message from the Trump administration to the American people and the world could not be clearer. Combating human trafficking is no longer an American priority under the Trump White House. That's a tragedy, it's a scandal, and it deserves vigorous investigation and oversight. A committee endeavoring to stopping human trafficking would seek to understand what specific steps are needed to fix a legal system that allowed Epstein to get away with his crimes. A committee run by elected officials with a commitment to transparency would ensure the full release of all the files. It would ensure that the lawful redactions of those files protected the victims and survivors, not powerful men and political allies. It would get to the bottom of reports that DOJ withheld FBI interviews in which a survivor accuses President Trump of crimes. It would subpoena anyone who asked on which night there would be the wildest party on Epstein's island. It would demand testimony from prosecutors from Florida, New York, and the Department of Justice about why they gave Epstein a sweetheart deal and chose not to pursue others who may have been implicated in his crimes. And it would demand that Secretary Rubio and Attorney General Bondi testify about why this administration is abandoning survivors and playing into the hands of traffickers. It would seek out advocates and law enforcement officials on the front lines of the fight against human trafficking and ask them what support they need. And it would put forth legislation to provide more resources and force this administration to act. But that's not happening. Instead, you have compelled me to testify, fully aware that I have no knowledge that would assist your investigation, in order to distract from President Trump's actions and to cover them up despite legitimate calls for answers. If this committee is serious about learning the truth about Epstein's trafficking crimes, it would not rely on press gaggles to get answers from our current president on his involvement. It would ask him directly under oath about the tens of thousands of times he shows up in the Epstein files. If the majority was serious, it would not waste time on fishing expeditions. There is too much to be done. What is being held back? Who is being protected? And why the cover-up? So my challenge to you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee is the same challenge I put to myself throughout my long service to this nation. How to be worthy of the trust of the American people that they have given to you. They expect statesmanship, not gamesmanship, leading, not grandstanding. And they expect you to use your power to get to the truth and to do more to help survivors of Epstein's crimes, as well as the millions more who are victims of sex trafficking in this country and around the world. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would also like to request that the video of this deposition be made available within 24 hours, as it has been for other witnesses.
Ooh-wee. She called everybody out on that one. I ain't gonna lie, man. Hillary, that girl. But you know, I want to say, like, you know, I remember back in 2000 and something, there was a chant y'all used to say, "Lock her up, lock her up." For what exactly? When she's not mentioned in the Epstein files, but you know who will be. But anyway.
In Friday's deposition, former President Bill Clinton said he had no idea about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes.
Were there anybody on the flights that you can recall under age 18?
To the best of my knowledge, there was not.
The former president traveled on Epstein's plane around a dozen times, he says, for philanthropic work. Clinton is featured prominently in the Epstein files.
Did you witness anything unusual with Epstein that would lead you to believe that Epstein was creepy?
No, I never saw him do anything that I was suspicious.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton testified on Thursday, repeatedly denying any connection to the convicted sex offender.
I have answered for many hours now that I had no relationship because I never met the guy to my best recollection.
Hillary Clinton was also asked questions she considered off topic, including one about Pizzagate, a debunked conspiracy theory involving a child sex trafficking ring at a Washington restaurant.
I expected a lot of interesting questions today, but Pizzagate was not on my list.
Now, Bill Clinton was also asked about Epstein apparently visiting the White House 16 times while he was president. He said he had no memory of it and didn't know who Epstein was meeting with while there. Democrats.
Yeah, see, the Pizzagate thing, we all knew it was a conspiracy about that. Even so much so, I remember going through Walmart and seeing a slice of pizza on a shirt, and it was just like, then like sometime later Walmart took it out because it was like made to spread this conspiracy about child sex trafficking. I have no idea what Pizzagate is, but apparently it's something about sex trafficking.
Was wondering if you also agree that President Trump should answer questions of this committee.
That's for you to decide, but he did know him well, and I once had a brief discussion with him about it.
Thank you. Thanks for the answer. With that, I'm going to go to Mr. Walkinshaw, and we'll go down a series of questions.
I hate this, but because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, but since there was no follow-up question, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. He just said we were friends, and then we had a falling out over a land deal, property deal. That's all.
So he's saying Donald Trump and Epstein had a fallout over a property deal, whereas Donald Trump said they had a fallout because he was taking girls from Mar-a-Lago to work for Epstein at his island, which the girls who all worked at Mar-a-Lago were all above age, which is counterproductive to proving that he had underage women there and around him, but that also clears Donald Trump from saying that, you know, that he was visiting young women or he was taking young women. Okay, so also in the Twitch chat it says, him saying he doesn't know reminds me of when he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Of course, Bill Clinton was impeached for lying under oath, but he was not removed. You can be impeached, but you can't, to be removed takes a lot more to be removed from your presidential elected seat. He was not removed. I believe he was just impeached, right, for lying under oath. So if he lies under oath again to Congress, kind of like you kind of knew he was gonna do it.
Were there other people in that pool or hot tub with you as well?
I don't think there's anybody in the hot tub. I didn't forgotten that there was anybody in the hot tub, but it was big, but it was about.
Well,
He's asking you in the pool
it appears
area.
this photo, there's a girl over here. Is there someone?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
But he's also asking in the pool area were there other
Yes,
individuals?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so you don't know?
No, and then there were other people in the pool.
Okay, so do you remember were they under 18? Would you
No.
know? No.
Were they part of your traveling party, he's asking you?
Yes, they were, I think. I think everybody there was part of our party. It was late at night or late-ish, and I also believe that there was a Secret Service agent there at the other end of the pool.
Okay, and was this in public?
No, it was a hotel room, and the Sultan wanted us to stay there, and the water of this big pool was on the same floor that there were several suites, so we went out, I swam around, I sat in the hot tub for 5 minutes, or whatever it was, and I got up and went to bed.
And then I have to ask this, did you engage in any sexual activity
No.
with this person?
I don't believe it. Bill Clinton. Now, a man that got under at the Oval Office, man. Kind of hard to believe you just went home and went to bed, dog. I mean, Big Bill, Big Bubba was not playing back then. Big Bubba was taking them. He did not inhale. That's right. Jeffrey Epstein went to Chelsea's wedding. Crazy. MAGA forced Trump to release the files, of course. But Donald Trump ran on releasing the files. So that was kind of like, now us seeing the files is like, man, this is what we kind of want. We want to understand what's going on. And the people who are in it, some people need to be locked up, but we're going to.
Mr. President, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein was suicidal?
Do you know?
Was he ever
She's asking for the
suicidal?
best of your
I
understanding.
don't know, I only know what the medical finding was. I think maybe
That's it.
he finally got caught, and I don't know. I've accepted it in my own mind. I don't know what happened,
Mr. President, what did you accept? That he killed himself or that he did not?
but he did, but I don't know.
Yes, sir.
And
Thank you,
neither
Mr.
do you.
President.
We don't, none of us know.
A lot of the conspiracies are saying that the Clintons had Epstein killed. I mean, that was one of the biggest conspiracies after Epstein's death. It's like this. It was like, oh, Hillary and Bill are known for doing this, but Monica Lewinsky survived. I mean, she got a headshot though. Somebody said in the chat, will there ever be a deposition for Trump? Probably not. If there is a deposition for Trump, he will not show up because he's done that before. He's not shown up to depositions. He's went in contempt of court several times. So let's be real, people. We ain't gonna see that. We won't see that.
A letter from a book of letters, which was
It's his
compiled
50th birthday.
Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday.
Questions?
Yeah,
Mr. President, do you recognize this
I
letter?
do.
And for the record, does this appear to be your handwriting and
It
signature?
is.
And why did you write this letter?
Why did I? Because I was requested to contribute a nice letter for his birthday book.
And who asked you to write the letter?
I don't remember.
Would Miss Maxwell have
I
asked
don't
you?
know. I think someone on my staff asked me.
Can you please read the letter for the record?
Yes. It's reassuring.
A damn Bill old, he's shaking. I don't know if y'all can see too much of him taking this. Look at him hold this paper.
The record.
Yes. It's reassuring, isn't it, to have lasted so long across all the years of learning and knowing, adventures and errors, and still to have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends.
Mr. President, were you ever in the position to owe Jeffrey Epstein a favor?
I didn't consider that. I thought we had an understanding about the airplanes, that he would let me use the airplane to set up my AIDS programs around the world if I'd agreed to talk to him for an hour about economics and politics on every long leg. I kept my word, and he seemed to honor his.
What did President Clinton say today behind closed doors?
This was extraordinary. The former president testified for nearly 7 hours. He did say, as you indicated, that he knew of no wrongdoing. And specifically in his opening statement, I want to read another quote that he had. He wrote, not only would I have not flown on Epstein's plane if I had known any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself. Now, photos in the Epstein files, though, show some of the relationship between the two men. Clinton flew on Epstein's plane roughly 24 times. That was part of the work for the Clinton Foundation that he was doing after leaving office. Now, Democrats on the committee both defended the former president, but also sharply questioned him.
President Clinton, as of today, has not been accused of a crime. There are not public files available that accuse him of a crime. Whereas there are publicly available documents that do allege a crime of President Trump. But it is very well established that President Clinton had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
We'll return to the Trump question in a minute, but one other thing that Republicans said today was that they're investigating whether Epstein was part of some foreign intelligence operation targeting some public officials in America.
So what is known about Clinton's relationship with Epstein?
Right. Now, this is something that's important because Clinton said in his opening statement that he had a brief acquaintance with Epstein. But we know that they knew each other at least 10 years, going back to when President Clinton was in office in 1993. And Ghislaine Maxwell said she introduced them. There was something transactional. President Clinton, with his foundation, needed wealthy donors. He also needed a way to travel around the world. Epstein and his plane provided some of those things, but it wasn't all business. There are photos in the Epstein files that show, for example, President Clinton in a hot tub with a woman whose face has been blacked out to keep her anonymous. Clinton did also write a note in that infamous 2003 birthday book for Epstein, talking about friendship in that. And to this idea that Clinton never had any inkling that there was anything wrong, the actor Kevin Spacey was on one of those flights, on several flights in Africa with Epstein and Clinton. And he said in an interview a few years ago that he saw young girls on.
Ooh, what did you say, Kevin Spacey? What did he get in trouble for recently? Like a year ago, a couple years ago? You know, was it underage women or just being a womanizer? I think it was being a womanizer, but either way, I wouldn't trust Kevin Spacey. Well, if he say there was young women on the plane, well, goddamn it, Kevin Spacey was in on it because he's a freak.
Those planes with Clinton and Epstein, and he was worried about the public risk for Clinton. Clinton says he never saw that.
On the politics of this, you have the Republicans who lead this committee trying to, in some way, make the Clintons the face of this. You also have Democrats now trying to subpoena President Trump, which would be unprecedented.
Right. There are civil court examples where Clinton and Trump have both been in civil court, either as president or as former presidents. But the subpoena aspect of this is interesting if President Trump is subpoenaed. Really, it could be a constitutional question. But there's more to it now because Republicans are not even asking President Trump to testify. We know that he had a long association with Epstein. And, you know, whether he did wrongdoing or not, the Republicans say no. They're not saying Clinton had any accusations of wrongdoing. They just want to answer questions. There are questions about why Republicans still refuse to call President Trump.
Any other officials who could be forced to testify?
Yes, Commerce Secretary.
Does anybody think that President Trump will be called to testify in front of this committee? I don't think President Trump will be called. I think President Trump will be called out of pressure from the people. I think the people will be pressuring the people that's on the committee, which is their Congress people. And President Trump won't show up. Let's be honest. He not going.
Secretary Howard Lutnick. He is a billionaire who had an association with Epstein. And in fact, he told Congress that he was mistaken in at one point saying he didn't speak to Epstein after his arrest. And in fact, we know that he saw him in 2012 on his island. So there are questions from Congress about him, and it does look like he could be subpoenaed.
Lots of questions, lots to track. Lisa Desjardins, always on.
For the first time, a former president has been forced to testify before Congress. Bill Clinton's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is laid out in the Epstein files, including pictures of him in a pool and in a jacuzzi and aboard Epstein's plane, appearing at ease alongside the late convicted sex offender and Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. Clinton has not been accused of any wrongdoing, and today he denied seeing or doing anything wrong. But he faced hours of questions just a day after Hillary Clinton faced her own barrage of inquiries from the very same panel. He was also asked whether President Trump should testify in the Epstein investigation. Congressional correspondent Nicole Killian has been following all of it for us, and she joins us now. Nicole, good evening.
Hey, good evening to you, Tony. The deposition with former President Bill Clinton has just wrapped. Republicans and Democrats on the committee say the former president answered their questions and was candid.
From the beginning, former President Bill Clinton told a House Oversight panel Friday he had no idea of the crimes Jeffrey Epstein committed, declaring in his opening statement, "I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong." He explained he had a brief acquaintance with the convicted sex offender that ended years before his crimes came to light.
What I don't understand is this committee knows that based on the evidence and based on the files, that Bill Clinton did not do anything. It's not being accused of anything or that it pertains to Jeffrey Epstein and the things that were happening on his island. But there are things in there about Donald Trump. So why are they making it more about what Clinton knew and what he did versus someone who's being accused of something that happened on Epstein Island? It doesn't make sense. But maybe they thought Bill Clinton would tell on Donald Trump. And if Bill Clinton tells on Donald Trump, that basically implicates him to have knowledge of something that was going on in that island. And so if Bill is to admit that he knew something was going on, just to say he knew that Donald Trump was doing something, that would incriminate him. Or I don't even know if it's a crime to know, but it just.
But lawmakers raise questions about photos like this one of Clinton in a hot tub next to an unidentified woman. Sources tell CBS News the former president said he did not know her, and when asked if they had sex, he said no. The recently released Epstein files also revealed a handwritten note from Clinton to Epstein on his 50th birthday, and flight logs that showed the former president traveled on Epstein's plane many times, although he previously said it was for philanthropic work.
Jeffrey Epstein was in the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. We know that Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times. So those are questions that we're going to ask.
Clinton, according to Democrats, was cooperative.
He has not taken a pass on pleading the fifth for any questions. He's been very thorough.
They're demanding the committee now call President Trump and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to testify. Both are mentioned in the files but have denied any wrongdoing. A new photo of Lutnick has surfaced showing him on Epstein's island.
Well, Howard would go in and do whatever he has to say. He said he's a very innocent guy. He's doing a good job.
Chairman James Comer wouldn't say if he will bring Secretary Lutnick.
Nah, a lot of these fools, it's a lot of these fools in on it. But I mean, how far in on it are they? It could get deep.
Excuse me, can I interrupt? There are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please advise me as to whether or not that's permissible and consistent with the rules, particularly given that we have asked for a public hearing. If there are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying, can you please explain how that
I'm
can
done
occur?
with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's
So I would like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was.
It doesn't
Excuse
matter.
me.
We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So
well.
I would like to take a break at this moment.
Yeah,
and I'd like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
Go off the record. Go off the record.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
I have
there
another-
are photos that are being released of
See, that was a bad move. I wonder who said that they posted that. Somebody said, while Republican members of the committee had ensured that the deposition would close doors. It don't say who that was. Did anybody catch who that was, like, at any point in the news? So I was trying to find out, was it Lauren Bobart? Was it Lauren Bobart that did that? I don't know, but it's hard to find who actually said that because they're not showing that information. But a lot of people in the comment section over here on TikTok are saying it's Laura, the Bobart lady. Hillary Clinton is a baddie. Cap. Anyway. Yeah, Lauren Bobart. Is Lauren Bobart, is she even in Congress? She just I don't know what she is. She like Jasmine Crockett. They a politic, but we don't know they're a politician, but we don't know what they actually do. Lauren Bobart is she just be there. Like who voted this woman in? Where'd she come from?
We've touched on this a little bit, but just to make sure the record is totally clear here, you have said that you've never been to Mr. Epstein's island. Is that correct?
You know what?
Been.
I am so tired of answering that question. If you have one scintilla of evidence to the contrary, put it forward. I have never been on his island, period. I've never been in his homes, his offices, his anything. So I don't know how many times you have to say the same thing over and over and over again. And I just am struggling with the relevance of all of this. But no, I never have been.
I wonder whose idea was it to deposition Bill and Hillary. Like, they are the GLOATs, the GLOAT, greatest liars of all time, okay? She said she never been to the island. Why is she here? So, because she think that people think that Bill was pillow talking about his sexcapades with underage women on another man's island. Come on, man. You think any man is gonna tell his wife about that stuff? Y'all got to be serious about this nonsense.
Well, I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as fully as I could, based on what I knew. And what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. But whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond. It was disappointing that they refused to hold a public hearing, so I wouldn't have to be out here characterizing it for you. You could have seen it for yourself. We had asked for that. We think it would have been better for the committee and its efforts to gather whatever information they are seeking. We returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices. So it's on the record numerous times. It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet, that was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me.
Well, everyday people, what do y'all think about this, man? Thank y'all for tuning in to Everyday PJ and the political channel, Everyday Politics. Make sure y'all follow me on Twitch, Facebook, all that good stuff. Everyday PJ. And man, we just gonna keep bringing y'all more of this kind of, political conversation. So we're gonna keep it going. Hey, let me know what y'all think, man. Share this out to your friends. We're gonna keep it lit. Soon we're gonna start doing political call-ins. So if you want to call in and give your facts on what you think about these episodes, just know, stay tuned, because whenever we go live, we're going to start doing live call-ins for people to, talk about whatever it is that they want to get off their chest. Because, you welcome here, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, don't matter. You're welcome. So thank y'all for tuning in, man. Make sure y'all check out the other videos on the channel. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the other videos. And let me know what y'all think about the content in the comment section, okay?